with a tinge of that Harmattan weather there. Indeed, Abuja is where we're coming from. Yes, good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily with a temperature in Abuja of about 26 degrees centigrade. As you said earlier, you saw the city gate and the stadium, and everyone's looking forward to that. In a couple of days, it will be kicking in. That's the African Cup of Nations taking place in Cote d'Ivoire, and Nigeria hoping to get a fourth title. We're all waiting, but that's part of what we'll be talking about today. Welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Neota Igbe.
8 degrees centigrade right now, and guess what? It's going to be fun.
It looks like Ayo is yet to come into the space. There he is.
Well, good morning. Welcome. This is Lagos. No, not like Abuja where you say welcome to Abuja. This is Lagos, and temperature, you can boast about all of your temperature all you like. And the morning brief already gave us the idea of what has happened, or what the temperature looks like in Lagos, between 35 and 28%, depends on where you are coming from. And guess what? It has rained in Lagos this morning, Nyota. On my way to the office, I saw that Lagos was literally canopied with a heavy weather. And I've been informed that it has rained heavily in Ikoyi and Surulere this morning. So, Abuja, you can play catch-up all you like. Welcome. I'm Ayo Makinde, and today is January 4.
Well, Ayo, nobody's playing catch-up here. The two weather conditions in Lagos and Abuja, completely different. Indeed, while it's hot, it's dry and cold here, especially in the morning hours. It's really hot in the afternoon when the sun is at its peak. But be that as it may, one wonders when you talk about things being at their peak, at what point would workers begin to enjoy peak working conditions? Case in point, the nurses in Ogun State came out to protest yesterday, talking about the working conditions that they have to serve under. And that conversation is not a new conversation. It's a conversation that's been there over and over and over again. Working conditions, and many times workers have down tools because of what they consider inappropriate working conditions, and then they are calling out to the authorities to say, please improve our not just welfare, not just increase our salaries or take-home package, but also look at the conditions in which we have to work. Please make them better. The truth is, if the conditions are not right, no worker will be able to give their best. They'll not be able to do optimal service if where they are delivering that service is not comfortable. You need to create an environment. They need an environment where they can think. Yes, an environment where they can see, where they can think clearly, and where they can operate effectively. Ayo.
Well, you know, Nyata, it's a very interesting conversation here. Nurses are literally the bloodline of any health facility, medical facility where people have to go for checkups and get some measure of medical intervention for their health and all of that. So in situations where things aren't looking palatable at all, it begs the question, if it is happening in a central city like Abeokuta, somewhere at Idiaba in Abeokuta, Ogun State, one wonders what is happening at the primary health centers, healthcare centers all across the nation. We know that the federal government is very, very much interested in what is happening in that regard and consequently paying attention. So I'm wondering what the state governments are doing at various levels. The issues that you have raised, Nyota, are very, very germane. The question is, who is listening? Who is paying attention? Who is giving concern to the issues that are being raised? Are we even giving value to the fact that people need to live well? I thought that we say health is wealth. I thought that health was wealth. People live in very precarious conditions every day. So imagine that you go to a hospital and the fellow who is supposed to give you medical, intervention for your health is all cranky and all unhappy. So I'm wondering how we are lining these things up mentally in our own heads to ensure that the needful is done all around all of our people. So if the health workers in Ogun State, neighbor to Lagos, are crying, what is happening in Katsina? What is happening in Borno? What is happening in Bauchi? What is happening in Sokoto, which according to the last statistics from the NBS, has the highest population of people living in multidimensional poverty in Nigeria? What is happening in Kebbi? What is happening in Imo? What is happening in Anambra? What is happening in areas that the newsmen may not get to, and the issues that will be raised, medical issues that will be raised, may not catch the headlines and trend? I'm hoping that the Nigerian Medical Association and allied bodies are giving attention to this. Do we have to wait until health workers call out a strike? Do we have to wait until they go on any kind of action just to call attention to their welfare? I don't think we should. Everybody wants to be healthy. Every Nigerian should be healthy. It is a right, and it is enshrined in the Constitution. I'm hoping that the Ogun State government has agenda to ensure that the needful is done by the people who work in this place. And guess what? It's the federal, if I see it correctly here, it's the Federal Medical Center. Is that to say that the Ogun State government has no supervisory or oversight functions concerning that simply because it's a federal institution? And who in the universe is supposed to get this job done at the federal government level, the Federal Ministry of Health? So many questions begging for answers, Nyota, and I'm wondering who is listening this very minute. Do we have to always call out a strike? Nyota?
Hopefully there won't be need to call out a strike because, well, this is 2024, and let's be hopeful that the authorities and those that have to take action are listening and begin to do something about it. The Federal Medical Center around Abeokuta in Ogun State, please, not just the Federal Medical Center, every other hospital where people go to get health care, every other health facility where people go to get care should have good working conditions. I mean, when you walk into a hospital, or when for instance, you want to go eat in a restaurant and the place is messy, of course you can't enjoy your meal. So how about going to a hospital where you're going to get health care and the place is unhealthy? We'll just take a moment and come back to look at what some of the dailies are telling us today. And we're starting out with the Vanguard newspaper. This is what they lead with. Reign of bandits, kidnappers. Disquiet as terror attacks on Abuja Middle Belt towns continue. That's what the Vanguard's leading with. See there with those pictures, very unpleasant picture you see there. With this rider, scores killed, many kidnapped. Gunmen stormed shopping mall in Nasarawa, killed 4 shoppers. CP directs investigation into attack. Chief Imam, Okada rider killed in fresh Plateau attack. You get more details of this story on page 5. It's not a very nice story. No, it is not nice in any way to hear this. Reign of bandits and kidnappers. Page 5 will give you more details. But below that, no plan to increase price of petrol. Those who were speculating and worrying should be smiling with that clearance from the NNPCL. No plan to increase price of petrol. Details on page 29. Then this is the one. Hisba board seizes truck with 24,000 bottles of beer in Kanu. That's not something new. I mean, alcohol's been restricted in Kanu and in some other states in northern Nigeria. So who are they supposed to bring it in? Do they have the permits, and where are they taking it to? But go to page 13 and see more details. Above the nameplate, no apology for backing Diri's re-election. Credited to the former president. Details of that you find on page 12. And Naira scarcity, devaluation, rising inflation, TUC tells FG. You get that on page 8. But this one happened yesterday. A history maker passed. It says first under 17 World Cup winning coach Sebastian Broderick dies at 85. Is on page 31. I do remember that tournament. It was really interesting. That's what we had Nduka Ogbade captaining the team. And when they lifted that trophy, the whole of Nigeria was agog. Yes, and it's still something that many, I'm sure I also, whenever he thinks about it, delights in. So let's hope that what's happening this month, AFCON blow, the AFCON, let's hope that Nigeria will lift that trophy and people like Ayo can laugh and dance and jump all over again. But that's it from the Vanguard.
Well, I like that you like the name Ayo, but hey, it's too late. You can't use that name anymore. Nyota is what we know you by, so stick with it. Okay, this Nigerian newspaper is next, and what do we have as its lead story? It's a concern, and I hope that the president and his affiliates are aware. Our hope not yet renewed. TUC tells Tinubu. The stories on page 4 describes 2023 as year of excruciating dashed hopes. Calls on FG to implement agreements reached with Labour last year. Find the details of that story on the inside pages. At the bottom of the page is that story. NNPCL records 112 oil thefts in Niger Delta region in 7 days. Stories on page 19. One question: where are the oil thieves? We've been talking about this forever. Where are the oil thieves? Who have been apprehended? Who are the people committing these oil thefts that the NNPCL is recording? It begs a lot of questions. And then what are the consequences of oil thievery? What are the consequences of someone stealing crude oil in Nigeria? Questions. I don't know if this Nigerian newspaper has some of those details on page 19, but you can check in case you find them. And of course, let's know your thoughts on these issues that are being raised. That's this Nigerian newspaper today.
Nigerian Tribune's the other one I have here, and they have this one, 2024 budget designed to take care of ruling class. TUC says, once inflation crashed from 28.20% to 9.4%, it's not by waving a magic wand that happened. Demands implementation of all agreements with government. Insists 2023 was year of lost opportunities, dashed hopes. Check page 3, you get more details on that story, what TUC is saying to the government. With license, Nigerians can bear arms. Falana is on page 3. You get that. He was a guest on Sunrise Daily, and that's where he said that yesterday, if they meet the requirement. Nigerian art student breaks Guinness World Record with 100-hour painting. Yes, 2023, Hilda Bassi broke the Guinness World Record for cooking. Now, a Nigerian art student is breaking another record, painting for 100 hours. Well, if you go to page 2, you get details of that story. Quite interesting. We should be able to do that. Fuel subsidy entirely removed, not reduced. NNPCL clearing some doubt, says no plan to increase petrol pump price. Go to page 6 for details of that story. Above the nameplate 2024 budget, NAS gets highest allocation in 25 years. Whoa. Page 3, NAS gets highest allocation in 25 years. What exactly is the implication of that? Then in aviation, fan keeps mum 7 months after thieves carted away Lagos airport cables. Would that in any way affect air traffic in that area? And that's it from the Nigerian Tribune.
Front page, Nota. The Guardian newspaper has its own cutout as well. Vandalism. I mean, you just talked about vandalism at FAAN. Well, look at this one. Vandalism. Fresh concerns for public assets as repairs costs, yes, over 132 billion naira yearly. Oh, dear God. So, okay, anyway, I don't know. And look at some of the riders. Road infrastructure, pipelines, rail line, cables, top list of vandals targets. FG expends 60 billion naira on pipeline repairs in 2023. Stakeholders seek stiffer sanctions for vandals, enlightenment of public. See, you know, that conversation that we've been having, Nyota, about consequences. It's quite a lot. If there are no consequences for action, there will be a problem all the time. So who is listening? That's the lead story of the Guardian newspaper this morning. Ex-minister spurns summons as EFCC arrests NSIPA ex-boss. That story is on page 3 of the paper this morning. You've not met expectations. TUC tells Tinubu lists demands. The details of that you'll find on the inside pages. Now, for those who are wondering what's happening with this, with all of this certificate saga that the federal government has been talking about, ICPC probes alleged 6 weeks degree scheme by Cotonou Varsity, quizzes undercover reports. Beg your pardon, undercover reporter. That story you find details of on page 5. That's the Guardian newspaper this morning.
Trust, and they lead with that story that was on the front page of the Vanguard as well, with clarity on where that attack was. Robbers kill 4 in shopping mall near Abuja, on the outskirts of Abuja. See that survivors have their own remarks. It says they forced customers to lay flat on ground. It was like a dream. Our operatives responded on time. That's a response from the Nigeria police. Then below that, you see this on Kanu government. 44 local government areas lock horns over funds for capital projects. NJC budget increased to 341.63 billion from 165 billion naira. You get that on page 5. Ondo government suspends LGA's caretaker chairman. That's in Ondo. Just below the nameplate, we have this one. The chief imam, Okada rider killed in fresh Plateau attacks. You get details of that on page 15 or thereabout. 35 billion naira fraud. EFCC mulls Sadia's arrest for shunning interrogators. That invitation, I understand, was sent out last week, but the former minister is yet to show up, and we'll bring you details. We'll keep you updated on that one. My successors plunged Nigeria into debt burden. Obasanjo is speaking inside of the Daily Trust newspaper. And just the last one here, fears over new petrol price hike. Marketers plot 1,200 naira per litre. No need to panic, NNPCL responds. And that's it from Daily Trust.
And the newspaper has this one on its front page. Huge debts. Next generations of Nigerians have no option. That's according to former President Obasanjo. That's perhaps another angle to that same story Nyota took from the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper. Daily Independent leads with this one this morning. Huge debts. Next generations of Nigerians have no options, according to Obasanjo. Find the details of what he means by that on the front page of the Daily Independent, and it continues on the inside pages. And there's a memorial right there. That image is talking about a memorial being set of bombs kill at least 103 at Iran Memorial for Slain General. Find the details of that on that picture. And right under that one, you find this one. Reps Speaker false criticisms against constituency projects. Says they are addressing need of the grassroots. What does all of that mean? You get the details on the front page. It continues on the inside page of the Daily Independent newspaper this morning. A number of other stories you'll find interesting, and yes, that Broderick Simaswen's 1985 winning Golden Eaglets coach dies at 85. Yes, I wasn't the only one that celebrated that match, Nyota. There are quite a number of albums released in honor of that team led by Nduka Ugbade. So, yeah, absolutely fabulous. His soul rest in peace. That's the Daily Independent this morning.
Nigerian News Direct is the next one we have here. Indeed, that coach made history, and he would always be remembered globally. I mean, winning the first on the 17 World Cup. But let's come to Nigerian News Direct here. And they lead with blame game. Nigeria under incompetent economic management since 2014. That's coming from a former Deputy Governor of the CBN, Moalu, with the riders, incompetent leaders, paid salaries, arrears, invested massively in infrastructure. Tinubu's aid. Who is that one? You have to pick up this paper and go to page 2 to find out which aid he's talking and who exactly he's talking about. It says incompetent leaders, paid salaries, arrears, invested massively in infrastructure. Below that one, you have cash withdrawals not allowed from virtual asset accounts. That's coming from the CBN. And just above the nameplate, let's see these other ones. Naira hits new low of 1,035.12 to the dollar at official market. You get details of that on page 3. Ayeda Tiwa suspends 18 caretaker chairmen in Ondo, also on page 3. And that's it from the News Direct, Nigerian News Direct. And with that, we end a look at some of the dailies. Sunrise Daily will be back in a moment.
The DSS, sometimes we involve the Corporate Affairs Commission. The National Universities Commission has a virile structure for checking illegal institutions or degree awarding institutions. What we do, sometimes we see signboards, sometimes we get tip-offs. So we have our modus operandi, the committee secretariat goes about, they go to Kaduna, they go to Lagos, they go to East, West, and any part of Nigeria. And once we establish that these institutions are illegal, we come back and we publish. And we've been doing this over the years. Actually, there are more than 18. You will see that there are about 37. Sometimes they go up, they go down, depending on the activities of this, standing committee on degree meals. Because as we publish the illegal and unauthorized and unapproved institutions, we also publish the approved ones so that you can juxtapose. Every day we warn the public, we warn parents to check our website. We publish, we send to the diplomatic missions, we send to all the cabinet members, we send to all our stakeholders. We publish this as a matter of routine. Every Monday, we need to streamline the process of certificate evaluation and mutual recognition, because these are all quality assurance issues that we need to take at the highest level, at the sub-regional level, at the regional level, so that we can stamp the nefarious activities of these illegal institutions.
All right, let's begin the conversations around this particular issue that, of course, has been a cause for concern for so many people this morning, this controversial suspension of degrees from Togo and Benin Republic over allegations of racketeering and fake universities and a number of other issues. Let's have this conversation this morning with Mr. Ugochukwu Favor, who is President, National Association of Nigerian Students in Benin Republic. He is also a student, I believe, of the Institut Supérieur de Communication de la... Okay. Please tell me the name of your school.
All right, ISCG University.
Okay. Put simply.
Yeah, just simple.
Okay. Thanks for being here this morning.
Thank you so much, sir.
Are you aware, or rather, were you aware of the racketeering before the news blew?
Yeah.
You knew it was happening?
No, the thing here is, this racketeering of a thing, it's something that we actually might be happening on the ground, but it's not really too obvious. All right, so, and it's something that's been happening, or we don't know about. All right, so this what really happened about this reporter actually brought to the public about what is going on ground.
You are president of the National Association of Nigerian Students in Benin Republic.
Yes, sir.
So I don't think that, I want to believe that you are aware one way or the other that there are some people who are trying to scandalize the image of the Nigerian student in Benin Republic. Were you aware that it was happening at all?
Yeah, on this note, we are not aware.
Okay.
All right, we've been sincere, we're not aware about what is going on the ground. So that's it.
Okay. Now, with the news that has blown open, particularly by that student, that undercover reporter, okay. Who are the people that are said to be behind this scam, particularly in the school?
Now, the people behind this will be involved. According to what he said he met an agent online. So he communicated with the agent, and the agent told him that he's going to give him, I don't know if you watched the conversation he made online. So he said he met an agent online, and they helped him get out the necessary this thing. So, but the thing there is, we are trying as much as we can to see that this thing, whether it's really false or true. No, but based on how it is now, it is true. So I have set a committee to investigate into this issue.
The question a number of people may want to ask from you is and the question I'm also asking is whether or not the school is aware of this scam, so to speak. Because according to you, and we'll get there, there are those who have spent 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, some even in their fourth year already in the school, who are legitimate students of the school. But the point here being made is that this fellow connived with some people, and that it had been in existence for a while before this blow over. What is the reaction of your school, the authorities of your school, to this at this point?
Now, on this note, now it is not my school. It is a school called ESGT. Now, so the necessary registrars and stuff like that, they are aware, they know that this thing is actually going on. But we as a student, we don't know. All right.
The authorities of the school are aware.
Definitely, they will be aware of all this. All right. So when this thing actually came up, I immediately called the registrar. So I tried to make findings whether these things, is it from your school, because there are two different campuses. All right, so they have the two campuses in Cotonou and that of Port Novo. So when I placed a call immediately to see if this is actually from your school precisely. On the one I called, they said it's not from their database. See, they've checked the details about it. It's not from their database. So I called the order, which we are still trying to communicate with him, but his number is really not going through, sir.
But you validate that this is actually something that is indeed happening.
Yeah. On that note, right, I've really not validated whether if it has been happening for a long time. All right. This is just like we'll just come out on social media, and we are still trying to find out how long has this thing been happening. All right, so that is why I set up a committee as the president to look into this issue and investigate into it. So the people who are involved will be called to table and be persecuted, and they will face the consequences of the actions they've made, because it has actually affected a lot of Nigerian students, not only in Benin Republic, but Togo and that of Uganda and Kenya.
The concern here, I mean, in the first place, for the reporter to have decided to go undercover, it means that there was some kind of smoke about the reality or authenticity of it, right?
All right. So he said he met an agent. So we don't know whether if the agent scammed him.
Now, that's the point that I'm making.
Okay.
He secured a valid certificate from the school.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
And for that investigation to have started in the first place, there must have been some kind of initiative that this thing is indeed happening, right?
Yes.
So now that the federal government has taken this position, what are the things that you will be saying about this?
Now, for now, I would say that the federal government should look into the issue now, and the people involved, because you can't, because of maybe it's happening in this school, and try to punish everyone, because it has involved there are about 15,000 students in Benin Republic studying. So I would say that the federal government, I urge the federal government to and other entities to look into these issues, and those who are involved into this scandal, and those who are involved into this certificate of a thing. So they should call them, bring them to the book, and try to punish them. So that is it, sir.
Now, what approach would you be suggesting to the federal government to take, since, as you said, about 15 to 16,000 students, you said, are already affected by this matter? Now, no sovereign nation would want to just keep its eyes closed, knowing that such horrendous things are happening to their students, and undermining the integrity of that particular institution. So, what are the things that you will be suggesting, particularly as concerning the legitimate students of these schools?
Now, the steps that I want the federal government to take is to look into the issue closely. Now, the steps because it can't involve all the students. The step that he should take, or the government should take, is in a sense whereby they will call the school and they'll bring them to the table, like I said, then they punish them, sir. They'll face the consequences. From what you have, since this news broke, there must definitely have been some investigation from your own part. Okay.
How many schools do you think could be involved in this kind of scam?
On that note, I'm not aware. I don't know how many schools are involved.
Okay.
So I don't know about how many schools were involved, who have been doing this for a long time, trying to tarnish the integrity of the certificate that students have gotten. All right, so I don't know on that note, sir.
Well, we're also hoping that we'll be able to have the Director, Press and Public Relations, or the NYSC in Abuja, and hopefully as soon as he joins us, we'll be able to get in on this conversation. Just before I call my colleague Neota to join in this conversation as well, What was your initial reaction? What kind of feedback have you gotten from your fellow students about this particular matter? If you can tell us how far back, what's the normal process of getting into the school? Maybe we should begin from there. What's the normal process of getting into this school?
Now, the normal process of getting into the schools, because it's something that we have to do undercover, all right? It's not something that we have to do openly, like investigation going on. So they have to gradually take the process or the...
No. The question is, how did you get into the school legitimately?
Okay, how did I get into the school legitimately? I'm on transfer.
Okay.
I'm on transfer from Federal University of Technology, which I got my admission letter.
Federal University of Technology?
Technology in Minna.
In Minna, okay.
So, which I did the transfer over to there. I got my admission, and it was a process. All right, so which before my admission came out some weeks, I think a month before my admission was out, so it was a processor.
Is that the only means through which people get into the school?
No, because you have to present your transcript. You have to present your transcript and other documents of which is required, sir, by the school.
Okay, but you are not the only transfer student, obviously.
Yes, definitely, sir.
Does that mean that all the students in the school were on transfer? Yes.
No. They are not, sir.
That's the question that I'm asking. How does one get into the school normally?
Normally, okay, you have to apply.
Okay.
Once you apply, then they'll give you admission. For my own school, I don't know about other schools, you have to apply, present the necessary documents that is needed, which you know that JAMB is not really required. So once you present those documents, they'll offer you admission, sir.
Okay. Let me see if, let me check my colleague, Nyota, may have a question or two for you. Go ahead, Nyota.
All right.
Indeed, thank you, Ayo. Ugochukwu, yeah, you talked about being on transfer. So if one was going to transfer, how did you go about your own transfer process?
All right. My own transfer process, I applied through someone who actually linked me up to the school, and I applied the process. Physically, he sent my my documents to them, and my admission was out. So it was through a process, and we submitted this through online. You can go to ISCG University, the website. You submit the necessary documents there.
So this school that you applied to, what made you apply to the school?
All right. First of all, we are here to discuss.
Why did you decide to transfer? Yeah.
Okay, we are here to discuss the issue of the issue of this suspension and how it has affected Nigerian students. So, bringing this issue, all right.
Yes.
So you're trying to get some valid reasons and some valid information from me on to know how far that these things have been. All right. So, but I believe that we should discuss on these issues and how it has affected Nigerian students, and we call on federal government to lift the suspension because they are still legitimate students.
Right? Ugochukwu, let me clarify something, Ugochukwu.
All right.
We're not putting you on the spot. We're asking these questions because Nigerians out there will be wanting to know. Indeed, you've talked about you did yours legitimately. You applied to someone who got you to the school authorities. And then the question is, why did you choose to transfer from FUT Minna, which is also a very good school, to the school you're in the Benin Republic? We will get to the point about how it's affecting Nigerians, because you're leading a group of Nigerians in these schools out there. But the process, why you would decide to leave Nigeria to that space, because that's the reason why some people will just get up and say, I want to go to school in Benin or in Togo, without finding out what the process is, without finding out anything about the school. So I'm asking you, so that if there's another person who is watching now and thinking, are there other schools like this? Okay, what do I need to do if I want to go to that school? What do I need to find out? So tell us why. That's why I'm asking you the question. Why did you choose to move from FUT Minna to the school you're in?
Being open, one of the things why I chose to, we know that I've spent, when I was in FUT Minna, I spent close to 2 years in one level, we know about the strike, the corona, and the 8-month strike. So these are one of the challenges, and my age is actually going by, of which I am planning. All right, so me applying to the university, when I got the information about this university course, I felt like, okay, fine, I really need to change. I can't endure the strike of the thing going on, I get. So, and I applied, and I first of all checked online whether the school is accredited. So I checked online how legit the school is, so before I could be able to make the necessary process or start the necessary process. So these are the things I considered before making such transfer.
Okay, so now that the government has looked at, and based on that report by the undercover reporter, government has decided that certain universities are not going to be acknowledged. And indeed, there's even a news item out there that some other schools in other countries like Uganda or Kenya are going to also be reconsidered. How does this, what's the mood amongst the student body that you lead?
Now, definitely the moods of the student body presently in Benin Republic, they are not pleased with the informations. They are really not pleased with it. Immediately when I got the information, I sent a press to the embassy to look into these issues, and also NANS Diaspora and NANS Nigeria to look into these issues and see where these issues can be resolved, because they are legitimate students in Benin Republic. So they are still legitimate students who go to schools, who go to classes, who attend lectures, who does their presentations and all of that. So they are still legitimate students in Benin Republic, and we call for Nigerian government to please look into this issue, and those involved into this scandal should be punished and face the consequences.
But yeah, they are legitimate students. Are there also some schools in Benin Republic that may be illegitimate? Do you know any schools that may be illegitimate?
No. After my victory at the poll, I immediately went to the embassy to get the valid, of which I brought also with me, to get the valid and accredited universities in Benin Republic. So if there is any school that we come across, I and my team will come across that this school, they are illegitimate, these schools, they are fraudsters, all right, so we will bring them to, we will report them and take the necessary actions that needs to be taken. We'll report them to the NYSC, report them to
that information,
the Ministry of Education.
That list of legitimate schools that you have you shared it with the Ministry of Education here in Nigeria?
These are the schools that are accredited. These schools are accredited, and it's from the embassy. So I think the accredited schools here are also on the website of the Ministry of Education. So this thing actually is from the embassy in Benin Republic, Cotonou.
Amongst your students, are there some that might have been scammed for one reason or the other by agents who have told them probably that they want to get them better schools and move them? And what were you able to do about that?
For now, I've not come across that. And once I come across any information pertaining to that, we will take the necessary step to bring those people to we'll take the necessary step to. Okay.
But if you had a message for Nigerian students who want to go out there to school, even given this new directive, what would you be telling them to do?
I don't understand. Sorry.
If you had a message, for instance, Nigerian students who might want to go out there to school, given that the government has said, look, we are not going to acknowledge some certificates from these countries. Some of them are in the process of already applying. What would be your advice to them?
All right, for now, I'm being honest, I know this is under, like what this government said, this is under process, and investigation is going on, right away. So I'll tell them they should still apply, because they are still legitimate schools in Benin Republic. Honestly, sir, and I can attest to it. There are still schools that are accredited, schools that they are not into anything of which I know of. majority of the schools. But those things, or this scandal of it, or certificate, this thing that has been going on, that is why like I said, I set up a committee, a 7-man committee to investigate if there is any school who are into this stuff, who fish them out and make them face the consequences of their actions, of which that affect the future of Nigerian students, both in Benin Republic and that of Togo and other countries that the government has actually suspended.
Well, Mr. Ugochukwu, just one last question now.
All right, sir.
In the event that the federal government doesn't rethink or reassess as you are requesting, what else would you be suggesting? What would be your next line of action?
For now, I would say till then, sir. So then we'll know the next step to take.
Are you having any conversation with the National Association of Nigerian Students here in Nigeria?
Yes, definitely. I have a meeting with ASEFON, and ASEFON, that's the Nance Senate President Bapti, and my colleague, my brother, Nance Togo. We have a meeting scheduled by 12 today. So to discuss on this issue and see where we can be able to come out victory.
We also understand that the National Association of Nigerian Students Senate President is also waded into this. Any conversation on that matter as well? Yeah,
I've made I called him. He called me rather. Sorry, he called me concerning the issues, and he said he will book an appointment with the Minister of Education, after which he will come to Benin Republic. And during the course of our conversation, he said he's going to set up a committee to still look into the issue, so we can fish out every bad eggs that is trying to tarnish the image of Nigerian institutions.
When you say these bad eggs, I mean, let's imagine, without conceding, that there are some Nigerians who are involved in this scam. It goes without saying that there are some Beninois and some Togolese who are also involved, right? Because it is within their school, and all of these things are happening within. In the event that happens and it is confirmed that some other people from other nations are complicit in this matter, what would be your suggestion?
What would be my suggestion towards? To
the government, either of the governments, on how this matter should be dealt with so that it doesn't happen again?
Then we'll report them to the necessary, to the government, report them and report the individuals who are involved to the government. Then they will take the necessary actions. And in Benin Republic, there's a strict law in Benin Republic of which everyone is concerned about that. So you don't do, we Nigerians that are over there, we have restrictions to do some things. All right, so because the laws there are kind of very, very strict, of which we are careful of. So anybody who is involved would report them to the necessary government entities over there in Benin Republic and the other countries, like I said.
Okay. Well, for this to have gone on for the length of time that it went, it suggests that maybe there was some complicity, just as you are saying. Just to be clear, is it a crime that has been committed?
Yeah, it is a crime. It is a crime, sir.
Has there been anyone ever been caught for such crime in?
Yeah, we've not had experience about that. So we've not seen anything about that. So this one is just something that actually went viral on the social media. So it has drawn the attentions of virtually both the government and everyone. So that's why the government took the necessary decision they took. Right, but I really want to say something. There's a point I really want to clear out on air, because I want to have a conversation with this guy who is called the reporter. All right, because this step he has taken, all right, because he's trying to doubt the credibility of the government. For example, now he went to he after finish, he got his passport was stamped. All right, so his passport was stamped and he was not available. He was not present there. So you are trying to doubt the credibility of the immigration. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say, because your passport was stamped while you are not available there. Now, and that aside, this guy served 2019, and he still served again 2023. So you are still you are trying to doubt the credibility of the youth, that is NYC, because if someone has served before, he can't serve again, because their database will fish out your details and say, okay, this guy has once served again. And if you have served before and you are still serving again, you have to be punished. He has to be arrested. No, I'm just trying to draft a point out.
Okay.
So he has to be arrested. This guy needs to be arrested because I know he's a reporter who is trying to clear out some things, but on that note, you are trying to implicate some persons. Now, because in sense like whereby you are trying to implicate the government, the NYC and the immigration, like I said. So you trying to go serve the second time, that means you need, like, the NYC are not capable, their database is not really working for you to go and serve the second time.
And you don't think that this effort that has been made, excuse me, it's in the interest of even you yourself to ensure that those things don't continue, because you're spending, this is your 4th year, you said, in the school, and he was able to get what you are going to get in 4 years within 2 months. Don't you think that this, in one way or the other, exposes and blocks the way from those who would want to perpetrate this scam continually so that we can block it? And if he served in 2019 and he's serving in 2023 without holding brief for anyone, I mean, don't you think this is another way of saying we have some loopholes in our systems that we need to block?
All right. I'm not doubting that. But then, since this is out already, all right, so we are taking, I urge the government to look into it and take the necessary step as fast as possible, sir.
Okay, well, there's this track, this voice of the Minister of Education that I'd like you to quickly respond to. He was talking about this whole fake certificate saga. Let's take a listen.
Well, the starting point is that the committee is going to review the operations of the various ministries and agencies responsible for recognition and accrediting of degrees from outside the country. And we are already working on being vigilant on the internal mechanisms for those who try to sneak into the country. But for those who go offshore, for those ones, we want to strengthen the system such that nobody can bypass or come in whatsoever with such qualifications and get any recognition whatsoever. We are not going to stop at those 2 countries alone, because from the report that we have already, it extends to many countries, Western Africa, Central Africa, and all that. Of course, we are not going on a voyage of discovery, but we'll do everything possible to ensure we get necessary information. If along the line we are able to trace that there are people already in the system, for instance, if a particular institution or operator has been operating, say, in the last 10 years, we'll check to see if we can get records of Nigerians who attended that institutions. And then once we do that, they are criminals. And there's no time frame to criminality. So we'll trace them as long as we're able to lay our hands on their institutions and they are right here with us. Certainly, the security agency will go after them because they are criminals.
It's a good idea and a good initiative.
Sorry?
It's a good idea and it's a good initiative.
Okay.
So I think they should fish out the criminals, fish out the people who are involved, trying to spoil or tarnish the image of the legitimate students who are studying in Benin Republic or other countries as well.
Suppose, and this is just hypothetical, purely hypothetical.
All right.
What if some legitimate students of the school are responsible for, they are part of this scam? Some of your fellow students that are part of this scam, how would it feel?
How would they feel if they are part of the scam? So that, I don't know. The thing there is, like I said, the way they will feel about if they are part of this scam, right?
How would you feel?
I will feel bad, definitely. I will feel bad. Then I will report them. I will definitely report them, sir.
Okay.
So I will take their names, then we'll report them to the school management that if they are part of this, they should stop it immediately.
Okay.
Or they should be expelled from the school.
Okay. We have to thank you so much for being here this morning to speak to us about these issues. Ugochukwu Favour is the president of the National Association of Nigerian Students in Benin Republic. He's also a student of ISCG University. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We're back right after now. Do stay with us.
Have you heard that you can now print glossy, high-quality, 7 pages, A2 size wall calendars for just 120,000 Naira only, and A3 size for just 60,000 Naira only, and it will be produced and delivered to anywhere of your choice in Nigeria within 96 hours, without even having to leave your room. Listen, this is how it works. Just open WhatsApp, send your pictures and other content, and you will receive your custom design online for your approval within 24 hours. What are you waiting for? Call our hotline for more details on 0913-156-5016, 0812-794-9323, or 0815-508-8279, or visit our social media pages. CAS Prints, digital printing at super speed.
Discover Lipton's flavorful and balanced taste. We pick fine quality tea leaves from selected tea gardens around the world to give you Lipton Yellow Label's flavorful and balanced taste in every sip.
Stay connected to the world with Channels TV Podcast and get all the trending stories. Simply log on to channelstv.com, click on podcast, select the program of your choice, and listen. Our podcast is available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Tap the expertise you trust. Touch the stories that touch you. Anytime, anywhere.
Have you heard that you can now print glossy, high-quality, 7 pages, A2 size wall calendars for just 120,000 Naira only, and A3 size for just 60,000 Naira only, and it will be produced and delivered to anywhere of your choice in Nigeria within 96 hours, without even having to leave your room. Listen, this is how it works. Just open WhatsApp, send your pictures and other content, and you will receive your custom design online for your approval within 24 hours. What are you waiting for? Call our hotline for more details on 0913-156-5016, 0812-794-9323, or 0815-508-8279, or visit our social media pages. CAS Prints, digital printing at super speed.
Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Channels Television, ubiquitous.
The nation's oldest refinery emerges from a decade of failed deadlines, more than 2 years after the federal government approved funding of $1.5 billion to repair the facility. By 1972, 7 years after it was built and commissioned, the Port Harcourt Refinery 1 was debottlenecked from the initial 35,000 barrels per day capacity to 60,000 barrels per day production capacity. By 1989, another refinery was commissioned on the complex, known as the Port Harcourt Refinery 2, with a 150,000 refining capacity by the then military head of state, General Ibrahim Babangida. Together, this complex has a 210,000 crude refining capacity. According to international best practices, a standard refinery like this should undergo turnaround maintenance every 2 years. But between 1989 and now, it has skipped many years to witness only 3 turnaround maintenance, a culture that hopefully would change going forward. By 2019, owing to suboptimal performance of just 20%, the plant took its last breath. In 2019, the managing director of the NNPC celebrated the completion of the first phase of the refinery as one of the achievements of his management after a few months in office. But the project was to miss a number of deadlines for completion after the federal government awarded Italian engineering firm Maria Tecnimont a $1.5 billion contract for the rehabilitation work in April 2021. As the nation kept tabs on repair work, then Minister of State for Petroleum Resources Timi Silva said the refinery in Port Harcourt would restart operation in December 2022. But December 2022 came and passed. Nothing happened.
It has also secured funding for the rehabilitation of the 3 existing refineries to ensure the nation's domestic refining capacity.
In May 2023, however, during Channels TV's visit to the infrastructure, the dark clouds appeared to shift for some indication of brighter days. Our cameras toured to capture footage of newly installed pumps replacing the old, welding works certified to meet what is a December deadline that has finally been met. Amid high hopes, however, that it would bring the much-needed relief to the nation's huge burden of petroleum products importation.
Thank you for staying with us and welcome back. With the conversation around the refinery and the petroleum industry, it's part of what we're supposed to look at today, and we'll still get back there. Hopefully, by the time we get those gentlemen in the studio. But we have joining us now a Director of Press and Public Relations at the National Youth Service Corps, Mr. Eddie. Dr. Eddie Megwa, thank you for joining us. Somebody, can you hear us? Oh,
good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Let's get in real quick. This conversation around the fake universities in Togo, suspension of certificates of universities in Togo and Benin Republic, based on a report that was carried out by an undercover reporter. It also point fingers at the operations of the National Youth Service Corps, so to speak, because apparently he had served in 2019 and he was able to serve again. How is that possible?
Oh, yeah. Actually, the NYSC got the information when the young man put his write-up. And we knew that this is not very normal. I recall very certainly that the undercover journalist came to my office and we spoke extensively. And he was telling me that some people who served before came back to serve again. And I told him, no, our integrated ICT system cannot allow that to happen, especially when we have captured your phone number, captured your email. It will be impossible for you to use the same profile to come and register again. Eventually, we got the news that it had actually happened. But if you follow the story very well, you'll be able to find out exactly where he made a point. That when he tried to register, the system flagged it because he used the email and phone number with which he used in serving in 2019, and the system rejected it. And so he had to go through another shortcut, another route, developing another email address and another phone number before the thing was able to, accept him into the system. Now, NYSC is very clear on issues like this. Our integrated system, is evolving every day. And when issues like this come up, we also sit down to look at it. What exactly happened? And we'll build on it to make sure that such issues will not happen again.
When you say you build on it, because yes, he actually talked about the fact that when we asked him in the studio a couple of days ago how he was able to get in, he talked about the fact that his number was flagged, his email was flagged, and he got another one, which you have confirmed here. But then, is it possible now that somebody can just come up with another email and phone number and get into their system? Because that's what he did.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what the young man did. Because he was out for a particular purpose, and he tried to go through the usual route, using his authentic phone number and email. And the system said, no, this person you have served before, I cannot accept. And that's why he now went around and developed another email quickly and added another phone number.
But Mr. Megwa, what that means is anybody, the question I'm asking is anybody can just come up with any number and email and get into the system, or is there something that is being done to ensure that this kind of things don't happen again? Are you doing biometric capturing? Is that biometric capturing even effective?
Oh, yeah. We are into biometric capturing, both for the locally trained graduates and the foreign trained graduates. And in this instance, for the foreign trained graduates, we don't have database that we use in assessing them. What we require is for them to give us their certificate and of course upload their details in our system. And when we see the details which they have uploaded, we will now invite them for physical verification. And that is the point we'll authenticate whether they actually graduated from that claimed institution or not. And most times, especially from these Ghana, Cameroon, Niger, Benin Republic graduates, we give them tests to find out if they actually went there to school or not. And you will not believe it. Our findings are mind-boggling. Look, recall, this issue started way back 2006. The then Director General, Brigadier General Yusuf Boma, was moving around the orientation camps, interacting with corps members. He met a corps member and asked the corps member, how are you? He said, fine, where did you graduate from? He said, University of Calab. He said, what's your project topic? He said, I don't know what project is. I don't know. Now, that caught our curiosity. And we started investigating, only for us to find out that then the student affairs officers will go and collect money from even bread sellers and granite sellers and put their names in Senate-approved list and forward to NYSC. Now, this therefore made NYSC to start investigating. And through such investigation, we found out so many things. But thank God, some of the affected institutions, they started, punishing the erring officers of the institution, and the whole thing started going down. So it's in NYSC, we are doing the best we think we can do. And if the system is beaten at a particular point, now it's a wake-up call for us to also look into the system and see how we can upgrade it.
So in a way, NYSC should be commending Mr. Audu for that investigative report. But before we get into that, this matter of having to ask the students, give them a test to know whether they went to that school. Does it mean that the NYSC does not have any link or communication with the graduating institutions? Can't the NYSC reach out to those institutions to say, do you know this person, to inquire about them, or get login details into their systems to see if the students are registered or were registered in those schools? Doesn't that happen?
Yeah, look, let's take the instance of the young man, the undercover that carried out this investigation. Now, we don't approve it. You see, what I have here is the Senate-approved list of the institution forwarded to NYSC, and his name is there. So they go into collaboration with the managers of the institutions, okay? They fill in their names, perfect their papers, and now send down to NYSC. Now, when we found out that what they are sending to us, we need to scrutinize it. That's why we invite them. When a claimed graduate cannot make a simple sentence, what do you make of it? Don't forget, when we mobilize them after training them in orientation camp, we post them to higher institutions, even secondary schools, primary schools, to go and teach our children. And these graduates that cannot speak English, that cannot make a simple sentence, will be the one teaching our children. And every day you see the core employers rejecting the services of the core members because of inefficiency. They cannot perform. And that is why NYSC will have to go through that process to ensure that the people we are mobilizing, especially in this Benin, Cotonou, Ghana and Cameroon, we need to put them through tests to make sure that the people that we're enrolling into National Youth Service Corps are actually graduates of that institution. So that's the problem we are facing. It's not today. We have found out a lot. If you come to our office, we will show you volumes of the so-called graduates, what they are writing. I forwarded some to Chamberlain. Maybe he might be able to screen them.
Mr. Menga, we've seen some of those write-ups, but again, the database at NYSC might be flawed, or you're saying that it's not flawed and the NYSC is working to update it as much as possible. But what happened to the link with the national identity number? I thought that was also part of what you collect when the students come in to say they want to answer the call to serve the nation.
Oh yeah, 3 years ago we have also enlisted that to ensure that your NIN number is part of your registration process, so that even if you come 20 times, the system is going to fish you out. We also have the intention of collaborating with Nigerian Immigration Services to ensure that we synergize. And so the process of beating Nigerian government by way of having their passports stamped inappropriately, all these things will be a thing of the past. So we are synergizing with these organizations and also doing some other internal control measures so that issues like this will not happen again.
Mm. But so how effective is that synergy? If you said 3 years ago you also infused a NIN process into the NYSC registration process, how is that working out? Because if that had started working, this young man wouldn't have been able to get in, or wasn't he asked of his identification number when he came?
No, please, can you come again?
You said 3 years ago the NIN was incorporated into the NYSC registration process. I'm saying, if that was effectively incorporated, would it have been possible for the undercover reporter to have gotten into the system?
Oh yeah, that is part of this synergy. For instance, we are having synergy with JAM. Okay, NYSC portal is having a handshake with JAM. And so whatever the students are bringing down to us, okay, the JAM portal will be able to confirm it. The same thing we are doing with WAEC. Okay, if you go and bring any fake result from WAEC and you think NYSC is going to accept it, by the time we link it up with the WAEC portal, we'll be able to see the real result and the authentic one. And if you are on the negative, the system will push you out immediately. But if you're on the positive, the system will accept you and you go on with your registration. So also we are intending to do with a national identity number. And from there, we'll now be able to checkmate some of these lapses that are happening from time to time.
You know, Mr. Megwa, before we let you go, I know that my colleague will have some questions to ask you. I'm looking at some of these write-ups, and I don't know if my producer could help put it on the screen. And I would like to ask you, when you get this kind of write-up, someone writes, I mean, some of these writings are ineligible. Do you expunge them from the system, or you still pass them through orientation and then send them to go? What would this person be teaching? I mean, this number is, I hope you don't mind if I call it, is 3372. And what he wrote, I don't know if this is English or if this is French or if this is, I can't make out the letters here. What do you do with these kind of people? You pass them through the system still?
It's embarrassing. And that is what we are seeing. We have written to NUC, we have written to Federal Ministry of Education, and we have made several complaints, because of the quality of the graduates coming from these countries, and it's such that we cannot continue to contend. Ordinarily, it is not the mandate of the National Youth Service Corps to begin to test and verify the authenticity of graduates from higher institutions. We depend solely on the Senate-approved list telling us that these people are worthy in character and in learning, and they have approved that NYSC should accept them into the National Youth Service Corps. Ordinarily, that is what it should be. But when they come and we interface with them, and we discover that these people cannot even write a simple sentence, let alone speaking it. When I was the state coordinator in Lagos, during such verification exercise, I had to address all of them, over 4,000 of them. And I told them, if you know you did not go through the crucible of higher institution, which you are claiming, please quietly walk away. Because the moment we start the process and you are caught, the law enforcement agents are going to take you up. Before I could close my eyes, all of them, more than 80% ran away. Because I invited police and they came with their handcuffs. Before I could close my eyes, they all ran away. So it is embarrassing that these are the kind of people we want to go to teach our young ones in primary school, in secondary school. You can't give what you don't have. And that is why NYSC need to step in, because our names are being dragged into the mud when we post them to their various places of primary assignment. If the core members cannot perform, it's NYSC they are calling. They are not going to be calling the higher institutions. And so we need to sanitize our own process to ensure that the people who are enrolling in National Youth Service Corps watch their onions.
Megwa, one of the issues that plays up on the minds of a number of people is that, some would wonder, okay, there's this African proverb here in Nigeria that says, when the bird has learned to fly without perching, the hunter has to also learn to shoot without missing. Now, these netizens, the citizens of the net, they were born into it. So old strategies are not going to work for them. We cannot afford to be reactionary. We have to be proactive. And given what you know now, and that this young man came to you, as you said, and he proved to you that this thing can be done, and he did it. Now, I had thought, in your response to Neota's question, that the NIN, that's the National Identity Number, would be one way to sieve off any of these duplications. How was he able to circumvent that process if the NIN is a one-person-only gateway to identify a Nigerian?
Yeah, just like you have just said, technology keep evolving. And when matters like this come up, institutions or individuals involved will be able to look in and see how the system can be upgraded so as issues like this can be brought down to the barest minimum. Now, to that extent, like I said, when the young man fed in his email and the phone number with which we use in mobilizing him to Osun State at the initial, the moment he fed it in, the system flagged it. Okay? And now he had to use a different email and a different number before the system could accept it. All right? So the NYSC management, we are taking note of all this to ensure that we are going to work towards making sure that issues like this are not going to repeat itself. More so, we are also going to work with the Ministry of Education and Foreign Affairs so that we'll be able to keep track when these students leave the country for foreign studies and when they're going to come back. Now, if we have such documentations, we will now be able to say, no, you left so time, it's not time for you to graduate. Or you left at so time, this is the time you're supposed to graduate. And we'll now be able to look into your credentials and begin to mobilize you for national service.
Is there any handshake with the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology or the Federal Ministry of Communications, at least, digital economy? Because, as you said, these are technology languages, and young people are quite vast at it. All over the world, governments are largely catching up because the young people they were born into it, as I mentioned earlier. So we have to literally grow into what it is that they have been born into. So what kind of risks do you foresee that the NYSC in particular, given the instance of this example, what kind of challenges do you foresee that, you know, your organization and maybe one or two others like you may need to prepare ahead of and circumvent in the event that they occur?
Oh, yeah. Just as I said earlier on, we already having a handshake with JAM. We have with WAEC. I mean, all these ones are fully established. Okay? And we just talked about the national identity number. Okay? Now, we know that all these things, technology is evolving every day. And it is the responsibility of institutions to ensure that we upgrade systems. Of course, it's not only NYSC. All over the world, you see hackers working here and there, beating even the bank process, getting there to collect money where they're not supposed to. Even security organizations, you see international professional hackers doing all manner of things. Now, we don't need to leave it there. As these things are coming up, we will keep on working around the clock to make sure that we upgrade our own system to ensure that issues like this will not persist. But let me also say, it can only take a criminal mind to do this and beat NYSC system. And don't forget, the first time he put in the email, the system flagged it. He owned up to it, and which means we have checks in the system. But that we have that check does not mean that it is sufficient in itself. We'll keep improving on it until we are sure that issues like this will not come up anymore.
Okay, just one last question from me, Mr. Megwa. The young man that we spoke to just before we brought you up, the national president of Nigerian National Association of Nigerian Students in Benin Republic, is appealing to the federal government and perhaps indirectly the NYSC to reassess the decision that's been taken by the federal government about this matter And according to him, there are 15,000 or thereabouts students of Nigerian origin in those countries. Now, in reassessing, because they are legitimate students, there are those in 100 level, 200 level, 300 level, and 400 level in the schools right now. What kind of reassessment do you think would be fair so that they do not waste they haven't wasted their time, going into those schools in the first place?
Yes, on issues like this, don't forget NYSC is an arm of the federal government, okay? It's an institution, of government. And we don't have that autonomy to take decisions that will affect such institutions. It's the federal government. Once they take decision, NYSC will be directed accordingly. It is not for us to take decision on what happened. But I must say very frankly that the experience we have gotten from these countries having these institutions is embarrassing. And what we have seen over the years has embarrassed the Nigerian government and the NYSC. And that is why we are so happy that the federal government is taking this kind of decision so that we curb this nonsense once and for all. On the 22nd of November, the Director General of National Youth Service Corps, Brigadier General Y.B. Ahmed, invited some co-producing institutions from Africa. Their registrars and the proprietors of the school, they came to Abuja, and we had a full one-day session with them. And what are we talking about? Is still this issue of having our graduates that are not qualified streaming into NYSC to come and serve the Nigerian nation. So we have been shouting, we have been writing, we have been following up. Now the issue is in the public domain. And let the federal government take decision. We cannot continue to crack our heads on how to mobilize half-breed graduates that cannot solve any problem in the economy of the nation. It is not good. If we have well-baked graduates, good. NYSC is good to go in mobilizing them. But those that are not good, they are not supposed to have any inroads, into the National Youth Service.
One of those pictures you sent to us. Then I'll ask you this last question. The producers could just put up that picture there. That writing is impossible. I'm not sure whether it's English language or where that writing is coming from. It's amazing. Can we just, this one, I think this one is Hausa or so, but there is the other one that is irrecognizable. It's amazing. But in the bid to do all of this, Mr. Megwa, in the bid to weed out these controversial degrees from the system, if you can just answer this real quick, wouldn't it be another animal farm case where some animals will be more equal than others? What's the guarantee that some people, yes, this is that one that is amazing. This writing is, I don't know, somebody will have to get a helographer to tell us what it's about. Yeah. So wouldn't it be another case of some animals are more equal than others in the course of weeding out these controversial certificates?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't get to the last bit.
I'm saying in the bid to weed out these controversial degrees from our system and all of that, would there not be another animal farm situation where some animals are more equal than others?
Well, the way the federal government have started is a good move in the right direction. And I think if we can consciously follow it up that way, NYSC will be good for it. We cannot continue to mobilize people that cannot express themselves. NYSC is an elitist organization. It is not an organization where you come and speak Igbo as your official language, or Hausa or Yoruba. Okay? The lingua franca in NYSC is English. And that's what we use in communicating, because we emphasize ethnicity, we emphasize religion. So if you cannot communicate in English, then there is a problem. You cannot come here to serve. So federal government is doing the right thing, and we give them kudos. We, to a large extent, commend the young man who has taken all the risk to do this thing. Whatever findings he has come out with is going to help organization, Nigerian nation, to readdress the issue and get it in the right perspective.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eddie Maguire, Director of Press and Public Relations of the National Youth Service Corps. Thank you for coming in this morning. And it's good to hear that the findings by the undercover reporter would help the federal government and the NYSC do better in running this program, and not that he's going to be arrested. Thank you again, and have yourself a good day.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, so we'll switch lanes now. Before we went into that conversation around the undercover report and what the government's going to do about our education system, we played you a report from the Port Harcourt refinery, the situation and the update on the commissioning of that refinery after it was refurbished. But here in our studio, we're switching lanes to look at that. We have the National Vice President of IPMAN, that is Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, I believe. We have here Alhaji Ahmed Fashola. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good morning.
Also, here's the National Public Relations Officer, Okolo. Please help me. Okonlawon Olayanwaju. I got that. I know the Olayanwaju. Okonlawon. That's the first time I'm coming across that one.
Thank you.
Okonlawon Olayanwaju. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming in this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We won't waste time. We just have a few minutes for this conversation. There was that thing yesterday broke that there's a confusion as regards the pricing of the petrol. That the independent petroleum marketers wanted it to go up to 1,200, and the NNPC had stepped in to say no, there's no plan to up the price of petrol at the pumps yet. Please clarify this for us.
Well, good morning, Nigerians, and Happy New Year. Let me first of all clear that. As far as the Independent Marketers Association is concerned, independent marketers, we don't have plans to increase weapon price. There's no basis for that for now. And equally, there's no signal from NNPC that it should increase. So we cannot do that on our own, except NNPC come out and say, okay, we are going to increase for pump price. So on our own, there's nothing like that. And I want to use this opportunity to appeal to public, to stop panic buying, and there's nothing like that. It's just a rumor.
Okay, Mr. Olayanwaju, you are independent petroleum marketers, and some will be arguing that you're independent of the NNPC. So why do you need the NNPC to give signal before you determine the price of petrol at your pumps?
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers. The situation is very simple, it's very normal thing. NNPC are the major importer of the product. We get product from NNPC. So as long as the NNPC is not increasing the price, there is no basis for panic on that level. Our product, we source it from NNPC. We are not importing. So definitely, as long as we are getting it the whole price, so there is no basis for increment.
Okay, Mr. Fashola, this matter of the refinery in Port Harcourt, hearing that the repairs are being done, and then the Dangote refinery, a lot of Nigerians are hoping that by the year 2024, the price of petrol and diesel will come down and reduce the hardship out there. But it's the same so far.
Well, it's a good thing. It's what everybody is expecting. And even we are so hopeful and IPMAN, if Port Harcourt refinery can come on stream, and we have Dangote and by extension Warri and Kaduna, that will be a good thing for Nigeria. But from experience, I don't think the price will go back to former price. Don't forget that there's no more subsidy again. But there may be difference, but it may not be what people expected of maybe what we used to do or what we used to have, like 192, 200, no. But there will be availability. And when there's availability, there will be competition. You know,
how would there be competition if all of you are getting from the same source?
Because
you're independent, you'll be sourcing your own products. The most important thing is of right standard and then Nigerians can now have options to say, okay, I can buy from A, I can buy from C, I can buy from F.
You know, that's the beauty of deregulation we are talking about and the removal of subsidy. It will bring in competition. If you look at our stations now, you will see that people are coming up with different styles to make sales, to attract customers and all that. So with that too, the issue of price will come in too. Because if I get a cargo now, maybe I'm making 10 naira per liter initially, and my neighbor is selling at, maybe I'm selling at 600, and my neighbor is selling at 590. That's why I have to go down too. So that is the beauty of it. It's good for the customer that will be the beneficiary of that system, which is good for the system. So unlike before, that everybody will just sit down and maybe the NNPC is spoon-feeding people, there's nothing like that anymore.
But right now, the situation we have, Mr. Laiwaju, is NNPC is spoon-feeding people. You're all getting from the NNPC. So you're more or less selling at the same price.
The situation is, you know, input terms of economics, demand.
Indeed.
When there is excess supply, the price will crash. It's a simple economic term. The situation is this. By the time the supply, the availability is there, definitely it will crash down the price. So by the time I buy and you buy and every other buy,
even though you're all buying from the same source.
Yes, but the cost of buying is going to be different from one another. And sometimes at individual management level, we'll be able to say, okay, why not removing 50 kobo from in competition? You know, you have to look for ways of attracting customers. Some will reduce 50 kobo, some will reduce 1 naira. That is how it goes. It will come down, definitely. This January, I know price will come down. By the time Port Harcourt refinery starts and Dangote refinery starts, it may be just little margin, but it will start coming down by the grace of God.
When you say, how soon do we expect to see these drops, Mr. Fashola?
Well, we are hopeful. Immediately the Port Harcourt refinery.
Because right now in Abuja, for instance, it sells between 617 and 625.
Until that time.
I know that Lagos sells between 580 and
600.
600.
Well, until the refinery come up fully, and Dangote, as we are all opened, and then we can see drastic, reduction in the price. And let me use this opportunity to appeal to NNPC, because right now the imperial marketers, we are not finding it easy at all. Though we support the government in the food deregulation and the removal of subsidy, but what is playing out now in the downstream, independent marketers are not finding it easy. And what it is, the distribution pattern is very wrong. If you look at the distribution pattern today, the independent marketer has the largest number of retail outlets. But if you see what is coming to us as an allocation, so minimal. And with that, we are now buying through third party. I want NNPC to look at that. It's a great problem. When you look at what is happening now, you see what major marketer is selling. It's different from what independent marketer is selling. If you look at the NNPC retails, for Lagos now they are selling 568. Whereby you will see independent marketers selling at 620. Even with that 620, they are not making anything. Because today, as I'm telling you, where we are buying from the third party, today price is around 618 from the depot, from private depot, 618 per liter. No, expenses is not inclusive. The transportation is not inclusive. Before you take it to your station, you run your generator, you pay your staff, you pay taxes, both federal and state. So I'm appealing to NNPC to look at it because we are supporting the government. That's why we are just keeping quiet. If you look at what is going on, we see some independent marketer station close up. They close their gate because they cannot continue. So I'm using this opportunity to appeal to NNPC to increase our allocation. Probably if they can give us 2 or 3 private depots to load from, it will be better for us if we can get it direct from NNPC. We are not really getting it direct.
So you guys are not getting direct from NNPC?
We are not getting it direct from NNPC.
Okay, let's hold on. Ayo.
Thank you, Nyota. Well, perhaps we'll even begin by saying that just yesterday I tried to get some fuel. NNPC fuel stations, most of them were not open. The one that was open was really loaded. And when you say fuel price in Lagos is between 5-something and 600, I don't know if that has been anything. I don't know if that still subsists, because as of yesterday evening, I looked around trying to get fuel, as I said, and I saw a fuel station selling for, guess how much? 630 naira per liter in Lagos, Nigeria. This definitely stems from that speculation that made the rounds, from an announcement allegedly made by the National Public Relations Officer of IPMAN. So, gentlemen, kindly speak to that, because the information out there is that the idea of the petrol price increasing to 1,200 naira per liter, given the current dollar, diesel, petrol cost dynamic, came from your association. Can you confirm that, please? Please go ahead.
Well, let me quickly address that.
Yes.
Okay, let me quickly address that. That information is not from us. Let me tell you that for free. It's not from us. And that I read it too. I think the person is just making speculation. And IPMAN, we are not importing now. We don't even have the capacity to do importation now. So we will not be talking by speculating what the price of PMS is supposed to be. No. Doing that, we are creating panic, and we don't want to do that. So far, we are not ready to import. We should not be talking what the price is supposed to be. So we will only address the issue on ground. The NNPC is the sole importer for now. So if, as you said, if you observe that some private stations or independent marketer stations are selling 630, 620, well, I've just mentioned something now, what is happening today at the private depot. As at this morning, we are buying at 618, 620. So if somebody buy product from depot 620 per liter, without transportation, depot expenses, before you take it to your station, if you are still selling at 630, that person is not making anything. He's just trying to maintain the station, maintain the customer. But for how long won't we continue to do this? And you say you want to remain in business. No way, you cannot be doing charity when you are doing business. And we are not government. We are private people doing our business to make at least small profit to remain in business. I can tell you, independent marketers are not finding it easy in this era of deregulation, because we supported the regulation, but what is playing out now is something else, especially with the NNPC, where NNPC is selling 568 in Lagos, and we are not assessing this product. That is the problem. I just want to appeal to NNPC to look at this. Look at Ejigbo Depot, for instance. It's the only depot that is functioning partially for now. But if Ejigbo Depot receive today, by the time they load like 2-3 weeks, no more product. As of today, people are paying their money trapped in the NNPC wallet. Nothing is happening. We don't even know what is going on. So if we appeal to NNPC to push product to satellite depot Ejigbo, it will help us a bit. And if they can even give us like 2 or 3 private depots, they can make arrangements of through the throughput arrangement. We can go there and pick our product, and we'll be selling at the normal price.
Just tell us, what should Nigerians be expecting now, and what should they be expecting tomorrow?
The normal situations, with the expectations, if the product supplied is normal, refinery start working. Before the end of January, I think things are supposed to start coming down from the price. Because everything is economics, demand and supply. When there is excess supply, the price will crash. So that is the expectation.
All right. Thank you so much. We've been speaking with the National Vice President of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association, Mr. Ahmed Fashola, and the National Public Relations Officer, Okolawon Olaiwaju. Thank you both for coming in this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Sunrise Daily will be back in a moment. I'll be looking at another matter, AFCON. 2024. Stay with us.
To the world with Channels TV podcast and get all the trending stories. Simply log on to channelstv.com. Click on podcast, select the program of your choice, and listen. Our podcast is available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Tap the expertise you trust. Touch the stories that touch you. Anytime, anywhere. Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Channels Television, ubiquitous.
In a few days' time, Nigeria will join the rest of the African continent at the Africa Cup of Nations holding in Cote d'Ivoire. And yes, we're hoping, everyone's hoping, the fourth trophy, would it come? Oh, well. We have here in our studio former chairman, Gombe State Football Association, and he'll be looking at all of this with us. Please join me to welcome Ahmed Shuaib Gara Gombe, former chairman, Gombe State Football Association. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here once again.
Mr. Gara Gombe, incidentally, as I said earlier before we came on, the last time I saw you was in Cote d'Ivoire. And we were there to look at things, football in Africa generally. But now, Super Eagles are going there. What do you think is going to happen?
Honestly, at the risk of being tagged unpatriotic, also at the risk of being tagged pessimistic, I do not think we are ready for AFCON 2024. We are not ready.
Why?
If you look at the preparation, if you look at the tactics, if you look at the technical aspect of Super Eagles, or our football generally, holistically, I do not think we are ready. Every time we had a competition, we are placed or we are confronted with uncertainty. Who is playing, who is not playing? What was our development strategy? What tactics? We come back every time we are heading to major competition like this, we are confronted also with the issue of who is leading the team, who is the coach. Since the time of Westerhoff, Clement Westerhoff, we never had a transition to a championship without confusion, without uncertainty, turning Nigerians into prayer warriors, praying for somebody to lose before we win, even from the qualification to where we are. I do not have confidence. I do not have confidence in the system. I do not have confidence.
Shouldn't you be glad at least we are certain now that there's a coach that has been with them for a while, so we know who's coaching them.
Which coach? He has been with what in the first place, hiring Pasero for the Super Eagles was one of the greatest mistakes we have ever done in history of our football in the first place. That is number one. Being with them, what was the outcome? There was never a time this guy managed this team from the sideline that we are confident. You and I knew. Those days you can sit down and count a team, 11 players for the national team that you can say, yes, these are good to go. You can sit down and say, as soon as we line up before any team in Africa, yes, Nigeria will overrun them with ease. You can sit down and say, okay, this is the tactics that the Super Eagles are playing. But today, no. Anybody who does that is just do that for pleasure, but not in reality. The reality of the situation is that the Super Eagles are not just ready for this championship. But let us go and keep on trying our cut and paste strategy, our wobble and fumble strategy. Let's go ahead with that. If anything happens, then it's intervention of God. But not because we are ready or we are prepared for it.
Now I get where you're coming from at the risk of being called pessimistic or being unpatriotic. So Gareth Gombe, you're painting a very bleak picture for the team. 18 players are in camp at the moment in Abu Dhabi.
They have been going to camp. Even 2030 have been going to. How many players we see for the period that Acero has been in charge? We have used close to 45, 50 players. Every time attempting to do one thing or another with the result less impressive than the one preceding it.
You were part of the NFF at the time, and I do know that all the while there's been this conversation about sports, football development from the grassroots, growing them from the age group football up to the senior level.
I've been part of the NFF. Do they listen? Do they listen? Do our people listen? Do our people listen to the truth? I'm glad you remembered. In the last 20, 25 years, I had always been consistent. Let us do the right thing. Let's fix it. Do the NFA today have a developmental program for our football? Look at what Morocco did. And the result showed in Qatar. What is it? Are we not created by the same God? What does it take? What are the quality of people in the technical committee? Who is the chairman of the technical committee? What is the quality of people running our football? Do you know at a time in CAF technical committee, Chief Festus Onubinde was representing us there. They pulled him out and appointed a butcher, somebody who doesn't know anything about football. How on earth can you go to a level like CAF and pull out Chief Onubinde, who has coached other countries with his antecedents and records, and pull him out and just bring a non-entity and put him there? Today,
using very strong words.
Today, yes, they deserve it. We have to use strong words. Because but you ask me, you say I was there. Maybe you are just short of saying, what did I do? I did my best. I did my best.
What you consider your best?
What?
I think you did what you consider your best.
Yes, what I consider my best, but those who have been following me knew that I have been talking. I have been talking at every step of the way. Look, now if you ask the Federation, what is your 5 years football development plan? And that was what I have taken on the present leadership of the NFA. I have nothing against Gusau. He's a fine gentleman. He is my friend. But I said to him, the honeymoon will soon be over. We will start talking. And we have started. When you came in as a president of the Federation, tell us the rot you met when you resume office. Tell us your program, where you are, where you want to take us to in the next 4 years. Now he is almost reaching 1 year. We have never had anything. And some of the things that are happening are hangover over the past administration under Amaju. He brought Pasero to us without any result, without consultation, without antecedent. And here we are. And I have been calling for Gusau to tell us, for goodness sake, what is the rot, the actual rot you made on the ground, the corruption, the lack of vision that you made on the ground, and tell us your own vision, so that we will begin to measure you. But after now, as far as I'm concerned, what Gusau is doing is an extension of the Amaju's presidency. And if you are doing something silently, come out and tell Nigerians that this is your program. Then we start to judge you from there. For goodness sake, There are so many things that are going on in Nigerian football. So many things, so many things.
So
and again,
when I would say, let's not paint a picture of things not looking good, because
are they good?
Hasn't the league
that is a problem, my brother.
Hasn't the league
if we fail to speak the truth, we shouldn't pretend that things are good.
I'm asking a question. Hasn't the Nigerian league picked up?
Picked up from where to where? From where to where? No, from where to where? They have been shouting that, look, we have found sponsorship. Which sponsorship? What is the general value of the Nigerian league? Let them tell us the commercial value of the Nigerian league. And let them tell us also the sponsorship value of the Nigerian league. They just signed one very embarrassing contract, and they are shouting about it with one of these they say sponsors who doesn't have a television platform. And everybody is shouting that, oh, we are moving 200 million. The first money they injected, according to what we read, that they injected, that they are giving to the close to 20 million to go and share, and we are all clapping hands for them. Now they came back, they say, we want to put the matches on television. Which television? That we are now live streaming the matches. How many? 60% of the people who are watching our matches don't even have a smartphone. They don't even have a smartphone. Then the cost of data and data. The only solution is to put it on TV. But they refused those who have the capacity, who have the platform, to put these matches really on television, and they went for peanuts and they are celebrating. That would never take us to anywhere.
Mr. Gombe, let's just wind this down with a word of advice for the Super Eagles. They are out there. We are at the AFCON, and we're going there, hopefully, to win. So what advice would you give the team and the management?
As far as I'm concerned.
And Nigerians, they're watching you.
As far as I'm concerned. Of course, Nigerians always like to watch me speak because I don't mince words. And I say it as it is. I have no apology. We are not ready. We are not prepared. Everything is shattered. And embarrassingly also, at the national level, the sports minister to stop the pattern the route he's taking. The route the sports minister is taking to manage us. Football is our major sport. After that is athletics. So many things are happening in Athletics Federation. So many things are happening
for the AFCON now?
In football.
The
AFCON, already we are there. Let's go and keep on praying. That is the only thing I will say. We should go and keep on praying, but not what we plant, because you cannot plant orange, and especially to harvest banana.
No.
So let us keep on praying, and let us try to see that the Super Eagles, well, by whatever reason, do well. But honestly, I am not one of those optimistic about our preparation and about the outcome.
Mr. Ahmed Shuaib Gara Gombe, former chairman, Gombe State Football Association, thank you for coming in this morning.
Thank you.
We do hope that in all our prayers will be answered.
We have always been praying. Permutation. We are one.
So let's see what we have here. We have some of your comments here, and this is coming from Professor Imonoka Nakena. It says, to stem this inexorable and obdurate institutional racketeering ongoing, JAMB should be remodeled to be supervising tertiary institutions, as it were, so that independent tertiary institutions will be allowed to conduct their unique admission examinations, so that the frustrations from rewriting JAMB will be cancelled. Most students who become impatient in rewriting JAMB oftentimes do innocently seek for alternate schools where and everywhere, and may likely fall into this trap perpetrated by these deplorable and obfuscating criminals. That's coming from Professor Imonoka Inakena.
Well, two other comments are from Festus
And that's it on Sunrise this day. I want to thank you all that sent in comments and all of that, and for letting us be a part of your morning. I'm Neo Taigwe.
We appreciate your comments, Festus and Ejike. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. I'm Ayo Makinde.
Stay connected to the world with Channels TV Podcast and get all the trending stories. Simply log on to channelstv.com, click on podcast, select the program of your choice, and listen. Our podcast is available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Tap the expertise you trust. Touch the stories that touch you. Anytime, anywhere.
A warm welcome to you. This is Newstrack on Channels Television. I am Bukola Koka, and these are the stories we're following for you this hour. Starting on a sad note, the Sokoto State Police Command has confirmed that 2 persons died when a vehicle in the convoy of the state deputy governor had an accident on Wednesday. Spokesman of the State Police Command, ASP Ahmed Rufai, while confirming the incident, said the accident happened along Yarimawa area in Goronyo Sabon Birnin Road in Sokoto State. He said the driver of the pilot vehicle, who is a police personnel, and a photographer who were in the convoy died on the spot. According to the police spokesman, other persons that sustained injuries from the incident are receiving treatment at the Usman Danfodio University Teaching Hospital in the Sokoto metropolis. The clampdown on fake degree certificates as well as universities in the country is on, and the federal government says it is extending its sanction to include countries such as Uganda, Kenya and Niger Republic. This comes a day after it suspended accreditation and evaluation of degree certificates from Benin Republic and Togo, following a report by undercover journalists about how he acquired a degree from a university in Benin Republic in a matter of months and later deployed for the National Youth Service Corps. The Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, who was speaking on our political program Politics Today, notes that his ministry has set up an investigative panel to look into the matter and will make the findings of the committee public.
Well, the starting point is that the committee is going to review the operations of the various ministries and agencies responsible for recognition and accreditation of degrees from outside the country. And we are already working on being vigilant on the internal mechanism for those who try to sneak into the country. But for those who go offshore, for those ones, we want to strengthen the system such that nobody can bypass or come in whatsoever with such qualifications and get any recognition whatsoever. We are not going to stop at those 2 countries alone because from the report that we have already, it extends to many countries, Western Africa, Central Africa, and all that. Of course, we're not going on a voyage of discovery, but we'll do everything possible to ensure we get necessary information. If along the line, we are able to trace that there are people already in the system, for instance, if a particular institution or operator has been operating, say, in the last 10 years, we'll check to see if we can get records of Nigerians who attended that institutions. And then once we do that, they are criminals. And there's no time frame to criminality. So we'll trace them as long as we're able to lay our hands on their institutions and they are right here with us. Certainly, the security agency will go after them because they are criminals.
In the meantime, the acting executive secretary of the National Universities Commission, Mr. Chris Meyaki, says the commission has identified at least 37 illegal universities operating in the country. He made the clarification when he spoke with Channels Television in Abuja, adding that some arrests have already been made in this regard.
This is a joint effort of the ICPC, the DSS. Sometimes we involve the Corporate Affairs Commission. The National Universities Commission has a virile structure for checking illegal institutions or degree awarding institutions. What we do, sometimes we see signboards, sometimes we get tip-offs. So we have our modus operandi. The committee secretariat goes about. They go to Kaduna, they go to Lagos, they go to East, West, and any part of Nigeria. And once we establish that these institutions are illegal, we come back and we publish. And we've been doing this over the years. Actually, there are more than 18. You'll see that there are about 37. Sometimes they go up, they go down, depending on the activities of these,